So, but what does it look like to be at peace? What does it feel like? Well, every human being knows what it feels like to be at peace. If you didn't, you wouldn't be searching for it. You have to have a taste of something you're looking for. If you've never had pizza, you wouldn't be trying to get pizza at lunchtime. So it's something you have, but how do we get to it? You have to reach that frequency setting, get into that place. And as we exercise and know that, how do I reach? Like, we'll go inside, close your eyes to the outside world, and this is why we use meditation. Part of the meditation me and Mike like to use is one that transcends. So even if a good thought pops in, we want to discard that. We don't want even good thoughts to influence what's going on. We want to get to a place, if we possibly can, get to no thought. And in a place of no thought, that's when miracles come.
When somebody, if we were to describe the most simple way to explain presence, to explain peace, to explain happiness, it is the absence of thought.
It is. Yeah. And we can do this without our eyes closed. Like someone like you mentioned, a gymnast. When a gymnast is doing a routine, or any athlete knows this, or anyone, like when you're doing something, you cannot think. You must just respond into the field in which you're in. Once you think, this is when you start to wobble.
See, the slippery slope is we're such conditioned beings that our minds scan back and forth, thinking that the whole self, this whole ego identity that we've created, will crumble if we're not constantly scanning of the brain. And the mind isn't, you got to do this, then you got to do that. Don't forget you got to pick up the kids, and you got to go here, and don't forget dinner. You're never living now.
And what's interesting is we're told this mixed bag of stories because we're told, were you not thinking? And so
like it's a bad thing.
You're told to think, and then you're told to be present at the same time.
Well,
it's like do this and do this, but they kind of wipe each other out.
Well, I love how you say this, Frank, and you say words are very clumsy. Yeah. And I love when you say that because that's a perfect example. When somebody says, were you not thinking? It sounds like a negative connotation because, like we said, happiness, what we're searching for is the absence of thought, no thought. With that said, what the person is implying is, were you not focusing? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're replacing a word, and this is why words are clumsy. Words are details, guys. Like Frank and I are communicating, but we're communicating through energy, through everything we can't see right now. These words flowing through, they're holding this charade together, but we're communicating as beings, well high above this this plane.
Yeah. And that's just it. So we're not telling people to get rid of words, but it's clarification words, especially we're in a place right now with political correctness and the way phrases are. And I find it to be funny because I've talked about this before. If a word takes you off your high horse, what is it that you're doing that the word took you off? Why are you allowing a word to take you off? It actually now eliminates. Now, maybe there's some other thing going on to where we finally get to the place where we say no words and we just telepathic or telepathy or whatever form of communication you want. Yeah, it's coming. But until that point, I always say, like, even though the ship is ineffective, don't jump off the ship into the water till the next ship comes, because we're talking about efficiency of continuum.
Well, like a good example, too, of what Frank and I are talking about. Think about when you that feeling when you get home or something, like to your family, to your friends, where you don't even need to say anything and you guys can just sit by each other. And everything is just as it should be. It's good. Yeah. There's no communication. There's no words. Think about I'll get this like when I'll sit with my dad. I don't need to talk to my dad for him to know I'm here. He's there. We're here together. And this is the thing, where you say, oh, that's how males are. Lose the idea of male and female. That's very much a physical plane thing.
It's a concept.
Yeah, it's a concept.
It's a concept in how we relate to each other.
Yeah, and produce and keep this
Yeah.
whole thing going. But in reality, you're a spirit. You know, you're not male. You're not female. You're none of that. That's in this body that you carry around with you. You are spirit. You happen to carry. You happen to have a body.
But on this plane,
you are not body.
Yeah, on this plane there are poles. There's polarities. So in the understanding polarities of male and female, it does exist.
Oh, of course.
But we don't have to let it overcome us. But we are in a polarity existence in this duality world, in the physical world in which we live in. So it's understanding that. But what Mike is talking about is when you transcend it, you can equalize the polarities. You don't have to let them overcome you. You don't become bipolar as the disorder proclaims.
Well, we so often live through the person, you know, and this is where you get caught up in life is you're thinking about everything you're trying to communicate. Mm-hmm. And so you get caught up. There's got to be no thought. You just have to let everything flow, free flow.
Yeah.
And when you get into this zone, things tend to go in the way you'd like them to go because you're not forcing something.
Yeah.
And so these little conversations, and when you hate doing stuff, you're putting a mental impression on it saying, this is bad. I don't like doing this. You're stripping away you're making the path harder than it is. What's the best way to say that?
The reason
I want to get to the chopping of the wood, essentially. You need to get to where you're not the activity. You're not the doer. You're the witness to the doing.
Yeah, so in other words, thinking is trying to figure out how this is going to be achievable. Contemplation is just focusing on the field of energy and then watching it unfold. There's a complete difference. So we didn't come here to figure out what to do. We just came here to get into a field, and the doing becomes natural.
We're doing it.
It's like trying to dance before the song had started. You feel, okay, before the song goes, we have to start dancing. I'm like, no, allow the music to play, and dancing becomes a natural. Once your body gets into the frequency setting of the music, you're going to express the dance, but not before. So contemplation is the focus in the field of the energy in which you prefer. Thinking is like, am I doing this right? How is it going to do it? How am I going to look? Oh, my God, what happens if someone sees me and I'm not dancing right? All of a sudden, now you're out of sorts, and you go sit down, and no one asks you to ever dance again. You wonder why you don't have a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. And then you carry that with the rest of you throughout your life about that time that happened in high school.
That's a true story, yeah. That really happened to me a couple of times, several times, actually.
Bury it deep.
It's still happening.
Bury it deep.
But as we start to understand, when we close our eyes, it allows us to go into this imaginative place. So in the beginning of the understanding of meditation, get to a place where you're completely still, if you can get there. And usually it's just a brief moment for me. And then from that, what it does, it naturally energizes my field of energy. And then when this field of energy is stronger, that's when I go into a state of contemplation. Now, what would I like to see? Oh, man. What would it be like to have a world around me of peace? I don't need to be everyone at peace. It's just way too much for me to contemplate. I just want to be at peace. And if I'm at peace, the people around me are at peace. What would that feel like? What would that look like? And then the look of it, what would it feel like? And that's what I focus on. And then I go about my day. And you start to see the synchronicity, and you realize I'm at peace until I choose not to be at peace. Peace isn't something that happens to you. It's something you fall into. Allow yourself to get in. There have been soldiers.
Peace is no thought.
Yeah, there have been soldiers on a war, on a battlefield that have been at peace. And there have been people with major anxiety inside a church or a meditation class. Like
it's all within.
Yeah. So how can a person on a battlefield be at peace and someone in a meditation place would be riddled with anxiety? It's because the person in meditation class is thinking, where the person on the battlefield is just simply being and responding and contemplating at the moment. This is what I want to happen, and leave the rest up to God, as they say, or the universe, and then follow that thread of feeling. Follow that thread. It will lead you to get you into the place in which you want. It always does. Distraction will take you off it, but who cares? You fall, you get back up.